to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do a roll call from my left.
James Brunel.
Andrew Greenwood. We have a quorum. Okay. Council business. Mr. Stone.
Good afternoon. I have three items for you today. First is direction with the pursuit of advertising for a levy appeal for 2023 for budget advertising purposes. Assuming that you meet the advertising requirements, we'll work with legal staff to prepare related findings of fact and documents, come back for formal council decision at that point in time.
We have consensus.
Second item I have is related to the rainy day transfer. You can recall the current budget has a $100,000 budgeted transfer scheduled this year to go to rainy day. After review, there's additional monies available in the general fund that could be a transfer to rainy day as well. In order to meet the council's reserve policy of 25% of the budget, we've computed that amount, but additional transfer that would be required is $325,000. We'd just like to see council's direction on either transferring just the $100,000 or preparing an additional transfer ordinance for a later date to the 425.
No. So I would ask that you prepare the ordinance for the next meeting for the, what would be 425. And we'll get consensus for that. Consensus.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the last item I have is related to the guidance line related to First Financial Bank. This would provide both the town and the utilities a pre-negotiated and pre-authorized $1 million lease line of credit for vehicle, equipment, heavy machinery loans between 3, 5, and 7-year amortizations. They're based on treasury, tax-exempt treasuries, plus a pre-negotiated bank spread for each item. So there's no initial loan documents. Each item would be a separate loan approval through council. Today's action would just be authorizing us to pursue those that guidance line with First Financial Bank.
They're not requiring sign on guidance line.
No.
No.
No signature. There's no carry cost. There's really no cost to use it. It's the amount of pre-underwriting they've already done, and it's an annual amount. So it's essentially the $1 million amount between now and next year, and then it will be reevaluated and roll over at that point in time.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, under ordinances and resolutions, I think we have ordinance 2022-20, amending ordinances 2009-14 regarding golf carts.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve 2022-20 amendment ordinance 2009-14 regarding golf carts.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Mel, second by Mrs. Qualls. Seeing no questions or comments, all those in favor? Aye, 3-0. Mr. Seekers. Ordinance 2022-18.
So this is a update to the planning and zoning building fees for the Department of Development. This was introduced last meeting. Nothing changed since then. Happy to answer any questions.
We're not voting on this tonight, correct? For today.
You can, we're not in a position to implement until after the next meeting anyway. We're currently working with Tyler and Rick to update fee schedules, get those to work in the software.
Thank you. See you next meeting. All right, we have the 2022 Treasurer's Town and Utility Budget Reports. Any questions for the Treasurer? Final approval. Then we have the July balance sheet expense approval reports and credit card statements. Did everyone have a chance to take a look at that? Question, do that. By consensus? Consensus?
Yes, consensus.
Consensus. All right. Then we have the August 9th town council meeting minutes.
Can we make a motion to approve the August 9th town council meeting minutes?
Oh, 1 second. I'm gonna recuse myself,
Oh, so we won't be able to.
so we won't be able to. I wasn't here,
So we'll just hold them off. till
just
next meeting.
so we will table that for the next meeting.
Unless you read them.
But I wasn't here, so I'll just recuse myself and then that'll delay until
Next
the
meeting.
September meeting.
Yep.
Continued. All right, Mr. Cartwright. Welcome.
First item on my agenda is the purchase of the Dodge Durango from Fletcher. We trade in two junkers that were not really usable, and we trade in the other vehicles, so we traded in a total of 4 vehicles. That being the 2013 Chrysler 200LX, which we received a credit of $5,000 for. A 2015 Dodge Charger, which we got a credit of $500 for. The VIN numbers are all on the purchase agreement that you've got there. And the other 2 vehicles was a 16 Charger and a 17 Durango. The net result here was that we got a $48,000 car for $21,900, and we got rid of four vehicles that were not usable. So we need approval to have the president execute this purchase agreement, so we can get this behind us.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the Dodge Durango for the town manager, including the trade-ins,
New amount,
in the amount of
21.
$21,900.
I have a motion by Mr. Rommel. There's a second. Second by Mrs. Qualls. Seeing no questions or comments. All those in favor? Aye. 3-0.
Next item on the agenda is the Parks Department. There's really nothing to talk about right now. We're in the process of rebuilding the Parks Department, hopefully hire a Parks Director and stuff. But we're going to present this to the Parks Department, and then we'll follow up after our meeting with the Parks Department with the council. The next item is the utility vehicle purchase for the street department. The need for this is because of all the trails that we have now, which we need to keep snow off or keep them salted. What this is a utility vehicle. You might be familiar with the word gator. It's like a gator, okay? And it'll have a snow plate on the front. It'll be enclosed under a cab. It'll have a salt spreader on the back. We have 2 quotes, one from John Deere and one from Bobcat. John Deere says we might be able to get it to you next year sometime. And Bobcat says we think we can get it to you in 3 months. So it's like everything else. If we have any opportunity at all of getting something to clean snow off, the trail and do the work that needs to be done, it's something that needs to be approved. Our recommendation, staff's recommendation is to award a contract to Bobcat for $35,271, and they were lower than John Deere.
I'll make a motion to award the contract to Bobcat not to exceed $35,000, $271.
Motion by Mrs. Paul. Second by Mr. Rommel. Seeing no questions or comments, all those in favor? Aye.
The next item on my agenda is the right of first refusal agreement with the South Central Soccer Association, or the Center Grove Soccer Club Incorporated, whatever the name they go by. It would be a first right of refusal which basically says that if they ever decided to sell their property, the town would have the first right to buy it. And it's a document that needs to be executed.
Just for everyone's notice or reminder, this is all part of the memorandum of understanding that we signed 30, 45 days ago with the soccer group as well. So this is just the next step in that relationship. So,
I'll go ahead and make a motion for the president to sign first right of refusal for the Center Grove Soccer Club. Approved subject to the
Second.
a motion by Mr. Rommel, second by Mrs. Qualls. Seeing no questions or comments, all those in favor? Aye, 3-0.
And I believe the last thing on my agenda is the closing of the streets, road closures for the Harvest Moon Festival, which is September the 18th. So, or the 17th, September 17th. For the parade, you have a copy of the parade route in your packet to show what streets are closed. Basically, the parade will start at the church over here, come down, go around that block over there, come back around. And so this parade route is what we're looking for street closures on. And in addition to that, which is not identified on this map, is the parking lot behind this building here. The parking lot to the west of Town Hall also needs to be closed because that will be the employee and the people that's going to be working parking.
How long do you anticipate it being closed?
All day.
All day.
Or not the street. No, not. I'm sorry, the street. The street will be closed for maybe 2 hours.
Starting at,
I've never seen a parade here before, so I don't know how long they are. Anyone have any idea?
Or
2 hours is pretty good. It won't take very long.
and you might want to notify the businesses, street closures, to make sure. And obviously give them police, public traffic.
So I believe we need approval to close those streets.
I think it's consensus.
You can do it by saying that.
Yeah.
Consensus, all right. You got it? Consensus.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chico, you don't have anything today?
Nothing this afternoon.
Okay. Chief, I think we're tabling what was on the agenda.
Yeah, since we're tabling on it,
Okay, thank you. Mr. Killender.
all right, good afternoon. First item I have is cost share for our alley project. We need to adjust the cost share. So originally, the street department was participating in this project. that was estimated around 92,000. We're shifting those dollars to 75% to wastewater and 25% to water. To approve those. You split it there.
So the street department is not part of this at all anymore. Just where the north and south boundaries of this.
The north boundary of Old Lake Road, south boundary is here.
Any additional questions for Kevin?
Your request is to 75% wastewater, 25% water.
Correct.
Let's go ahead and approve cost share. Harriman and Baldwin,
Old Street and Carlisle Street.
Baldwin and Carlisle, to be 75% wastewater, 25% water.
James, I couldn't hear you.
So the motion is to approve the updated cost share for the water and sewer for Baldwin and Carlisle Street, the alleyway, for 75% wastewater and 25% water. We had a motion by Mr. Qualls and a second, a motion by Mr. Rommel and a second by Mrs. Qualls.
This is the 75% and 25% of the street department share. That's not a project total, that is
The street
department
department share is now being shifted to wastewater and water. Good. Okay. Seeing comments, all those in favor? Aye.
Next item is request to dispose of some scrap metal from our main lift station project. The value is $100. Dispose of this material. We have a picture. This $100 would go back to station.
Yeah, consensus. We'll spend it all.
Yep. We may use it for the dump tank.
Will you get the dump tank?
Maybe.
Okay.
Next item is permission to close Harriman Avenue for our alley project. So they will have to work within Harriman just for a little bit for the water connection and the sanitary connection. And they know that they have to do that outside of the festival and major town events. So we do that an estimate of end of day, let's see, end of day on September 6th through the 9th. Weather scheduling, I just want some flexibility. I could shift a little bit, but we know that we can't impact the parade in the town.
So it's a 3-day closure.
Yep.
And where are the east-west limits?
So
This
this,
is gonna shut down the intersection?
well, you can make it turn to maybe the post office, depending on how they barricade it off. But really, we'll go through Harriman. This side of Carlisle, there's a manhole right there by the post office drop-off box that we need to get into. So Harriman will definitely be closed. We will not be able to go in that direction.
I think just let the local businesses know
Businesses know that's kind
and
of my.
coordinate and make sure we'll do our best.
You know, I'm Harriman and short, make sure the signs,
Yeah.
that you know what a convoluted mess is. What windows that is.
We do by consensus. Yeah. Be good by consensus. 3-0.
Thanks. Next item is to renew our OnCall software. This has worked out fairly well for us so far. It's basically automated our system where customer will call in. It's all done by, an app. It tracks everything, it tracks our response. They can send in pictures. You can see in their packet one of our large events that we had. this might have been Thursday, we had a main break. We probably lost over 1 million gallons of water on this main break, but the customer was able to take pictures of it, send it in, it's all documented. So we would like to renew this contract, and this will now add a feature that we'll be able to add, hopefully, beginning of 23, where the person on site can open up a map and can highlight the area, and then that will notify the residents that might be on a board advisory or a board order or any kind of notification that they want to do. It makes it much easier for us to communicate with the customer. So this contract is for a little more because of that component. But I've been really happy with the service so far. Prior to this, we had a call center and they would communicate to us by fax. And there's not a lot of data there, not a lot of things to measure. So it's really a great service. I'd like to continue this contract.
You said by fax.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like the
They
IRS.
are.
Yeah.
I'm flooding faxes. So. What was the price that we're paying right now? We didn't include this extra addition.
We were one of their first customers, so we were on a pretty low rate. I would say it was around 5,000. Trying to look at the details here to see the terms of this agreement. It's going to be a 5-year agreement, so I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here.
If David looked at it yet.
So this was the previous agreement that we had with them. I mean, nothing changed other than the terms, but he's not looked at this new 5-year agreement. Yes, it is a 5-year, so maybe
We're locking in probably
9 years, right? So adding that, they call it Doppler notified, so that's adding another $7,000 a year. And then doing the 5-year, they're giving us a 20% discount, so the annual is $13,598 for 5 years.
Any other questions?
Make a motion to approve, you the president to execute anything.
To be safe, let's go ahead and include that.
To approve $13,598 for a 5-year contract with Daupler, OnCall software, and for the president and council to execute signature.
Motion by Mrs. Wall, how will you second that? Second by Mr. Mel. Seeing no questions or comments, all those in favor? Aye.
Thank you. I don't see these very often, but the next one is a deduct change order for South Road Main Sewer project.
Approved.
Right.
Wait, we got a vote.
Yeah, so this is deducting $26,000 from the project, and we met with the contractor and engineers and staff, and we changed how they're connecting into our lift station, which made it easier for the contractor. So this is seeing the benefit from that, deducting this from contractor's contract. So
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the change order for a deduction of $26,000 for the South Road Main Sewer extension.
I'll second that. Motion by Mrs. Qual, second by Mr. Ramel. Seeing no questions or comments, all those in favor? Aye. Rated.
So this project is close to being completed. We're making pretty good headway. Carissa will, she has a release, some video. Todd was able to do some drone footage for us on this project. And I believe tomorrow she's able to kind of release the details of this project. So next item is our IT agreement with Van Alstall. So we have been with them since I believe 2013. They have on-site support every Tuesday, and then we increase it as needed, if you have staff or projects and so forth. Getting a really great rate on project engineering and things of that nature. They are our printer provider also, so kind of an all-in-one. We've not renewed our contract for some time, and I think finally they got some pressure from the higher ups that they would like to, things that obviously cost more now, they would like to re-engage and re-sign the contract. Your memo is here, and can answer any questions you might have on this.
What's the length of the contract? What's the length? Is it just an annual or is it
Yeah, 12 month.
12-month contract?
This is an entirely new contract. David was not previously approved.
David has not seen this.
Okay, this was more few pages, so
Yes.
I would suggest that we do approve it, it's subject to David's opinion.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the contract for being launched out, considering legal review for not to exceed $5,750.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rommel, a second by Mrs. Wolf. Seeing no questions or comments, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you. 3-0.
Next item, a little bit larger here in the project. We're finally starting to see, our project bidding come back on some of these projects we've been discussing for quite some time. Part of our capital infrastructure improvement program for the next couple of years. This is one of the projects that did not come in crazy over. I mean, it did come over a little bit, but not like some of the other ones. Jim McNulty is here, and he's going to come up here and explain some options to you. And then we're looking for a recommendation to proceed with one of our contracts. I'm going to turn it over to Jim to explain the low bid and then the next bid. And we'll go from there.
Right, thanks, Tim. We received bids August, and project we had out there, planned on actually bidding with the original Stones tank, and then they postponed it for some geotechnical reasons. So we opened those bids on August 11th, and this was for a 2 million gallon clear well at Plant 1. It's been a master plan item for some time, and it's kind of moved it up a little bit on the schedule to basically provide some to the plant people to have some storage there. When we get into this, we bid 2 options on the tank. We bid a glass line clear well tank, which is a 2 million gallon tank, which is similar to the tanks you have at Plant 2. If you've been out there, it's that blue type tank. Usually the most expensive option you could get on storage. So we did that option, but we also added the option of a concrete pre-stressed tank, which is a higher end tank, but a tank with a lot more life to it. I would say the glass tank's probably a 50-year tank. Concrete tank's probably an 80 to 100-year tank. But we bid it just to see the difference, because you got a lot better tank than the concrete tank as far as its life expectancy. But in the end, we received the bids. The glass line tank option total bid was $2,572,905. And the less costly option on the concrete tank, where we had 2 bidders on the concrete tank, the less costly option there was $3,455,030. This included a lot of site piping to the tune of almost $1 million, just getting the water around to the tank and internally and all that kind of stuff. So in the end, we've got a difference of about $882,125 between those 2 tanks. Based on cost, I've recommended you go with the least costly option. That being said, you're not obligated to do that. The way we bid, you could approve either one of these options that you wanted. If you wanted to spend the extra dollars, you could have the concrete tank and satisfy bid requirements. I throw that out there, as your option. You see, the issue here, I want to make sure you're comfortable with the type of tank you're going to get. You've been out to the plan, it's the glass line steel type of tank. It looks like what you've got on your elevated tanks, except it's the blue type tank that's on the ground. But we use a lot of those tanks, so I have a problem with those tanks on the ground. These tanks have been there for over 10 years now and been fine. But you get what you got, if you're happy with that option, then that's the least costly option to go with.
They're the same size.
They're basically the same size.
You consider glass tank the expectancy is 30 years.
I was gonna say.
I would say it's 50 years. Say it's 50 years.
What's the likelihood of us having to change that within 30 years? The cement tank or upgrading or something like that.
Not,
Like we haven't even worked capacity, that's all I'm saying. Would we have to redo
I
it?
don't think you would redo it to any different size tank. That's about as big as you're going to get on that side the way it is. But after 40, 50 years, you would probably have to completely replace that tank. The concrete tank will be there for another 40 years, 50 years. So you look at the cost per year, long term, the concrete tank is the cheaper cost per year tank to build right now. By $4,000 or $5,000 a year, just simply cost. But you got to pay for that in 20 years and not 80 years. So short-term 20-year cost, the cheaper option is the glass line tank option.
The piping that you talked about, that's in addition to the $3.45 million, or is that included in it?
That's included in it.
Okay, so that's the big difference, is not the actual tank, it's all piping. Or that.
Actually,
It doesn't matter, that's
the bid tab, there's the actual difference in the tank itself. You look at that, which is the alternative one we had in there was for the glass tank, which was $1,764,188. Alternative two was for the concrete tank, was $2,502,100. So you got $737,000 roughly difference between the tanks themselves and those two bid options. I hate to complicate it.
So is the piping the same for both, or is it additional piping for the concrete, and then we have additional risk of the piping going bad in the future?
The piping's the same for either
one.
Either one.
So, okay.
It's all ductile iron piping. It'll be there for life of plant. So it's the same either way. We didn't want to give you that option because we felt, obligated. If you're building a new plant today, the concrete tanks are they'll be there for the life of the plant. Glass tanks may or may not be. I mean, they won't be. They'll have to be replaced at some point in time. But you can buy almost two of those for the top price of the concrete tanks.
For the one we have at plant number 2, no issues over the first 10 years.
No, nothing at all. And we use them a lot for system storage on the ground. We've had problems with the tanks up in the air. You have had some issues with those and the way they were built. On the ground, I can't say they've never ever had a problem. I have seen a few problems, but they've always come in and fixed them a little leak here and there. And it's all in all, I'd say that they are still a very good option. But you'll not paint them, you'll not change what you get out there. Where the concrete thing, you could actually resurface it, you can paint it, you can do other things to that concrete that you'll never do with that glass tank. So just want to make sure you're comfortable with what you're going to have sitting there for that period of time, and you're comfortable with that being there right up next to the road. And if you are, then the alternative one is the cheaper option and the way to go.
Also, Kevin, what's your opinion, or why don't you give us your?
So we're 2 million over on this Coast Crossing Tower project, so $700,000-800,000. I would prefer to go with the Mid-Atlantic quote bid for this. I was excited about the concrete. We were hoping with steel pricing in the market that they would be closer together. There wouldn't be such a gap. We actually visited Citizens up in Zionsville, I believe, to look at their new concrete tank, and I was sold. But standing here with a long list of projects that we still have to do, that we're working on design and we don't have construction dollars yet for, we're over on the elevated tower project, my recommendation is to go with the low bidder.
I don't have a question. I mean, I don't, there's no detriment. We're looking at 50, maybe 40, 50 years on this thing. And
Right, and you have to say,
20-year bond.
20-year bond. and you're-
right, yeah, you're gonna have to pay for it in 20, so you'll pay much more, pay for it in short term, and then you got people today paying for something that people down the road will be using way into the future, but, and not paying for that. So it is a tough decision. Yeah, we were hoping to be less than $500,000 difference, then it would be easier to kind of make it push one way or the other.
You can't put a mural on
I
it.
know.
Well, hey, it's fun,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Can't put a mural on them.
I mean, it has some aesthetic value. I mean, I'm sure. So,
Grass line paints you don't paint, but you can't put stuff on them, it's more of a decal type of thing to apply, like for, I think we're gonna put a flag on, that kind of thing. It'll be more of a printed decal that you will just kind of stick to it. But just fine, we do that a lot too, so it's there's nothing wrong with them, you know. Just gotta make sure it's the right place and you're happy with what you're gonna see for the next 40 years.
You're comfortable with that?
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the Midwest Link Storage Inc. systems at $2,572,905 to approve the glass tank bid not to exceed
All set.
on the recommendation.
I have a motion by Mr. Bell, a second by Mrs. Paul. Seeing no questions or comments, all those in favor? Aye. 3-0.
Fair.
Good. We will get a little later out.
Thank you, that's all I have. Any questions?
We're good. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any board updates?
Real quick, some housekeeping on being Hartsville. I noticed that who was signed for the agreement, I did not put that in the motion. Kevin asked for him to be able to sign it electronically. Can we do that by consensus, or do I need to add on? So are you guys okay with Kevin?
Yeah, once they use it.
Once
Yeah,
Kevin
already
reviews
do
it,
it,
and then we can do that by consensus, okay?
Do you have any announcements? Market on Wednesday. You there? All right.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mrs. Paul, and a second by Mr. Brown.